Well, Easter is a time for daffodils, crossed buns, spring lambs, and of course, chocolate eggs. When we all remember the story about the Easter lamb who laid a chocolate egg, which was then hidden in a tomb, and then it was stolen, and then what happened next?
Oh, Sniff-a-Lot, none of that happened. None of it, except in your head.
Oh, so what's the Easter story all about?
Well, I'm glad you asked. The Easter story is how Jesus lives.
I thought Jesus died.
Well, he did, but now he lives. And if you only remember one thing today, Sniff-a-Lot, about this story... Oh, that's a bit optimistic, remembering something, isn't it? Remember that Jesus lives, and we're going to see what really happened. The story is in all four Gospels. Do you know what they are?
Oh, I know these, yes. You've got Matthew, you've got John, you've got Paul and Ringo, and Frodo, and Hermione.
Oh, Sniff-a-Lot, no, not quite. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But we're going to follow Luke's account in the Bible. So, picture it. We're in Jerusalem, a city on the edge of the Roman Empire, and lots of people aren't very happy about that. It's about 36 AD, just about tea time, which is also known as the Last Supper.
I feared the worst when 13 blokes booked the party room. It's always pretty grim in there afterwards, especially when they order wine. Although, apparently, this Jesus can make wine himself. Loads of it. And bread. Don't ask me how. My husband Isaac can barely make a pizza when he has all the ingredients. Anyway, it was a very quiet evening. Not that I was listening at the door or anything. That was a bit weak. But it didn't sound like much of a party, which is weird. I mean, it's Passover. I know, it's all about the wine these days, but it's meant to be a celebration, isn't it? My mum used to tell me the Passover story, all about how our people were slaves in Egypt, but God rescued us and brought us out into the desert, where he fed us with bread, which would be lying on the ground every morning. I mean, imagine that. If you're stuck somewhere that you don't want to be, and you're forced to stay indoors when there's a plague passing over, remember, there's always hope. I had hope for Jesus, or I did. I thought he'd rescue us from the Romans, but he's got a very funny way of showing it. While I was clearing some plates at the end, Jesus took some bread and wine, and he said to eat and drink it in remembrance of him, as if he was going to die. Isn't a miracle worker can raise people from the dead? I don't know what his game is. Anyway, we've got to get this room cleared. Come on, Lola. Right, the tables, we've got a dozen tax collectors coming in for some sort of business breakfast thing.
So when Jesus left the upper room, he went into a garden and met the Easter Bunny?
No, Luke doesn't say that.
Oh, they did an Easter egg hunt?
No, Sniff-a-Lot. Jesus was arrested by people from the temple and a big mob with swords and clubs.
But why did they do that? I thought he went round being generally brilliant and kind and healing people.
Well, yeah, that's true, but they were really angry that Jesus was claiming to be God. They wanted to have him executed, but they needed the Romans for that.
Oh, that's awful.
It was. So they took him to Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor. He couldn't find anything wrong with Jesus, and he said he could be released.
Oh, marvellous.
Yeah. But Jesus' enemies whipped up the crowd in a frenzy, and they demanded that he crucify Jesus and release a man called Barabbas instead.
Oh wow, Barabbas is a lucky old chap.
Let's find out more.
I've really done it this time. I led a rebellion against the Romans. I may have murdered 1 or 2 people, and any day now, they're coming to my cell to lead me out to crucify me. I tried everything. Bribing the guard, threatening the witnesses, blackmailing the judge. None of that worked. Nor did the jailbreak. Here's a tip. If you're going to hide a big metal file in a loaf of bread, make sure it's a baguette. It's the right shape. My sister, bless her, tried to hide it in some crusty buns. Yeah, you can imagine how that went. And the guards ate the buns. Those were my buns.
Shut up!
Don't I get a final meal? Last request?
No, you've been a very naughty boy. And you're going down.
There's no rescue for me. Not a chance.
Barabbas? Pilate's changed his mind. Jesus is going to die. You're going to live. You're free to go.
What? Jesus dies and I live? Who'd have thought it? Someone as rotten as me goes free.
Doesn't seem right to me, but that's the way it is.
Yeah. Didn't I say when I was locked in here, there's always hope?
No, you said,
Please don't lock me up. Here's 50 denarii. Treat yourself.
I may have said that. Well, it's a beautiful day. Let's go.
Wow, Barabbas must have been one happy bunny.
Would you stop talking about bunnies? We need to talk about what happened to Jesus next. He was being taken to a place called, wait for it, the Skull.
The skull? What happened there?
Well, Sniffalot, put it this way, it was no ice cream parlour.
Ooh. Imagine an ice cream parlour called The Skull. 0 customers, I think.
No, this is the place where Jesus was executed. He was nailed to a big wooden cross and left to die, and he had 2 criminals either side of him.
Wow, well, I can't wait to hear how Jesus got out of this one.
Well, Sniffalot, he didn't. Not yet. Jesus actually died.
Oh.
And just to make sure it was all done properly, there was somebody there called a centurion.
Well, that's not a nice job to have.
Should we find out more about this centurion?
Yes, let's.
Okay.
Oh, that was a long day today, I can tell you that much. I am absolutely cream crackered. Well, it's probably the weirdest day at work I've ever had. Normally, let me tell you this, there are 2 types, the mumblers and the screamers. And let me tell you this, the mumblers, they've given up hope, haven't they? Because let's face it, there is no hope on a cross. But the screamers, they're in denial, shouting and yelling at everyone and everything. We had a screamer today, didn't we? Yelling at me and this Jesus bloke. I have no idea why Jesus was being crucified. He doesn't seem the type. Jesus, though, was a mumbler. You know what he said when he was up there on the cross? Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Well, I do know what I'm doing. My job. I'm a centurion. But it was still a pretty weird thing to say. Anyway, this screamer criminal goes nuts and screams, "Aren't you supposed to be the true king from God? Save yourself and us while you're at it." Anyway, this other criminal jumps in. Well, not literally, because, he can't jump in. He's on a cross, isn't he? But he's not a screamer. He's a dreamer. He says, don't you fear God. We're getting what we deserve. But this man, he's done nothing wrong. And then, you know what? I'll never forget this. He says to Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Dream on, dreamer. Jesus is on a cross. No hope. But then he says this to the dreamer. Today, you will be with me in paradise. What's that all about? Jesus can't help anyone from where he is, can he? And then he dies. So that's the end of that. My weirdest day ever at work. Ever. Kind of reminds me of my dad's stories from 30 years ago when he was in Bethlehem. Anyway, look, I won't waste any more of your time. It's time to have some dinner. I'm famished. I've had nothing to eat today since a stale, crusty bun this morning. Gonna have a little look what we got to eat now. Look, nice to see you. I'll feed a Zane. See you soon. Dinner time pending. Bye for now.
Wow, what a sad story. Well, happy Easter, everyone.
Oh, Snifflot, that's not the end. There is a serious twist you do not want to miss.
I knew it. There's a bunny after all.
No! What is it with you and bunnies? There is no bunny in this story. If you like bunnies, you should watch Watership Down. Oh, actually, don't watch that really sad film. If you like bunnies, do not watch it. I cannot stress that enough. Anyway, back to our story. In Luke's Gospel, it's all written down for us. A man called Joseph of Arimathea took Jesus' body down and he laid it in a tomb.
Right, well, to me that doesn't seem like an improvement. That's just more death.
Oh, just you wait.
Sorry, we are so tired. We're running to Jerusalem because
we just saw him. Jesus lives. It really was him.
Hang on, let's back up. We'll start from the beginning of the story. So, we were on the road to Emmaus talking about what had happened when we met this guy, and he asked us what we were chatting about, and we were like, duh, we're talking about Jesus. Where have you been? Offs.
And it turns out it was Jesus.
Don't spoil the story. That was the best bit. So,
Sorry.
Anyway, we started telling this guy all about how Jesus had done amazing things and how we hoped he'd rescue us from the Romans, and about how on the temple priests had killed him on the Friday, and then on the Sunday morning the women had gone to the tomb.
And Jesus was gone!
Have to do that. Unbelievable. Anyway, where had he gone? We were sad. We were confused.
And this dude we met on the wet road explains how this whole thing had been planned by God, and how it had been all this way, all through the Bible, from the beginning.
And he told us how it's not actually rescue from the Romans that we need, but rescue from sin and from death. And how we can be with God forever.
Hearts on fire, mind blown, mic drop.
So, we stopped off for a bite with this guy, and the moment he broke the bread, we realised it was actually, wait for it, Jesus!
There he was, alive!
All our hopes and dreams were there, eating bread with us. And then,
boom! He was gone! He just disappeared! Can you believe it?
Amazing. Can you believe him?
Sorry, it's just such a brilliant story. And it means Jesus is alive. He lives. There's hope. He can rescue us after all. So we're just running to Jerusalem to tell all the others. Come on, let's go.
so this means Jesus is alive.
Yes, unlike the Easter Bunny.
Someone killed the Easter Bunny?
The Easter Bunny was never... Oh, never mind, we'll discuss it later. This story is about Jesus, written in Luke's Gospel. It's a history of Jesus' life and death and his life again. You can read it all for yourself.
Well, I might just do that with some chocolate.
Ooh,
Bunny.
good idea. Can I have some?
Oh, all right then, you can have some. Let's go and watch that movie you mentioned. What was it called? Watership Down?
No, I really don't think we should watch Watership Down.